Only Man in Office intro. Dr. Christine Garrett, a successful gynecologist, talked with one of her customers. Hello, Dr. Garrett. Thank you for agreeing to meet with me. I know you are a very busy doctor, said Mrs. Sharp. No problem at all, Mrs. Sharp. How can I help you? As you may have heard, I am the head of human resources of the company your husband works for now. Michael may have told you about the merger, and I find myself in a difficult position right now, said Mrs. Sharp. Oh, why is that? Which merger? Said Dr. Christine Garrett. Well, our company took over the company that your husband is working for, and with the merger, we will need to terminate the employment of many employees who have worked for the company for many years, and Michael's entire division is being let go, said Mrs. Sharp. Dr. Garrett gasped. Does Michael know? She asked. I am going to meet with him personally today and present him with two options, but before I do so, I wanted your permission to do that, said Mrs. Sharp. My permission? Why do you need my permission, Mrs. Sharp? Asked Dr. Garrett. Michael does outstanding work and is well respected by everyone in the office. In discussing my plans, I have been told I would be foolish to let him go, said Mrs. Sharp. But the new owners have strict hiring requirements. The only option to keep him in the company is to move him into my division and change him into another job. So Michael won't be terminated? Asked Dr. Christine. It depends on the choice he makes, Dr. Garrett, said Mrs. Sharp. In my division we have a lot of administrative work to do. And we will have a lot of female customers now and in the future. I heard that Michael was really good at teaching people our computer program. It's important to have trainers like him who respond to the needs of customers. I am sure Michael would want to keep his job at your company, said Dr. Christine. We really need the second income right now, and he surely will do what you expect of him. Dr. Garrett, do you know of your husband's feminine traits? Asked Mrs. Sharp. Feminine traits. Dr. Garrett stammered. She didn't think that any of their friends, family, or Michael's coworkers knew of his cross-dressing. She had known of his favorite pastime for many years and even allowed him to go out of town for special cross-dressing events. But she thought Michael had done a pretty good job of keeping his hobby a secret, but apparently he had not. Well, my husband is a really nice and caring person. He often helps me with the household, and not like other males, he even does the dishes and some cleaning, Dr. Christine said. What are you talking about? Some women in the office have noticed his manicured nails and his trimmed eyebrows, and that he occasionally wears stockings to work. Sometimes he shows submissive behaviors. He has even told one female colleague that he likes feminine clothes and that he wishes he could work as a real secretary in his spare time, said Mrs. Sharp. Dr. Christine Garrett didn't know what to say and then finally stated. Well, yes, Mrs. Sharp, I have known of Michael's secret desires for many years. And he has my permission to cross-dress occasionally. I have had expectations that he has been very discreet and careful to not let anyone we know become aware of his feminine desires. He sometimes dresses at home in women's clothes, and sometimes he goes out dressed as a woman too. But everything is just about loving the clothes, and he never did any illegal things. Actually, he has so many women's clothes in the closets that I told him he needed to get rid of some of his dresses. He has even told me numerous times that he sincerely wished he could work as a real secretary and dress as a woman all the time, said Dr. Garrett. I hope Michael has not offended anyone. No, Dr. Garrett, Michael has not offended anyone, and I would like to keep Michael on my staff. Here is my dilemma. As I stated, I will be terminating many employees. And they all happen to be men. The new owners have a strict employment policy. Michael would be the only man left in the company. As I said, we will have a lot of female customers in the future, and so I don't want any men working for me. Just women. Michael will have the choice of resigning and finding a job elsewhere, or he can continue working for me, but as my personal assistant, said Mrs. Sharp. I think Michael will eagerly accept your offer, Mrs. Sharp. But why are you telling me? Asked Dr. Garrett. Well, I would like your permission to turn Michael into my personal secretary. Would you allow him to make this slow transition? Asked Mrs. Sharp. Mrs. Garrett's face went white. What do you plan to do to him? Whispered Dr. Christine. My intention is to make him look a little bit more feminine so that he can blend in with all our other female staff. I will start by changing his clothes and his look so from day to day he would be better suited to be called my personal secretary. Mrs. Garrett had to sit down and was quiet for a few moments and then said, Oh my God, that is a really hard decision. It would not really be easy for us. You know, we have children and our younger daughter is still living at home. But if you promise that you will do that transition slowly and that you won't hurt him and you protect him against the other employees, then it would be okay with me. Do you plan any permanent changes? Not right now, Dr. Garrett. I will give him some time to adjust to my needs. But you must be aware that after a while he will be expected to look and act like a female secretary at work. So when he comes home he may no longer look and act like the man of the house, said Mrs. Sharp. And maybe I need your help then to adjust him to the feminine world because you are the expert in that field. Please be nice to him, he really is a lovable person. Does he need to be prepared for your first meeting tomorrow? Asked Dr. Christine. Well, I hear that he sometimes comes to work wearing some feminine underwear. If you would like, please put something nice for him to wear on his bed tomorrow morning and see if he will dress in that under his male clothes. Maybe I can use that as a trick in our conversation tomorrow, said Mrs. Sharp. That will be easy, said Dr. Garrett. In the last time I often realized that he wears nice panties and a chemise under his male clothes. Sometimes he even wears a bra to work. During winter time it is easy to hide and he likes the soft feeling so much, especially on his breast. I guess he would really be surprised if I gave him something to wear because so far I have not promoted that before. Thank you very much for your help, Dr. Garrett, Mrs. Sharp said. It was a pleasure to talk to you. It was a pleasure for me too. And if you need any additional help you can always count on me, Dr. Garrett said. As always, Dr. Garrett was up really early to prepare herself for the day. She went to Michael's drawer and put out some of his favorite lingerie, a white basque with garters. Together with some matching panties and nice nylon stockings, she laid out these clothes on Michael's bed when he was in the bathroom. Back in the bathroom she said to her husband, "Dear, I noticed that you may have some stress at work. You seem so dissatisfied and annoyed these days. Maybe you need some personal relief?" she asked innocently. "I laid out something for you on the bed and if you like you can wear that today at work, my dear. I know that this will help you calm down a bit." Michael was speechless. His wife normally would not want him to dress in anything feminine. "And maybe we can arrange some help from your girlfriend at my practice tomorrow evening? You know that Lucy will go to her friend and stay overnight so that you can come to me after work for some help with my paperwork," she added with a smile. That was too good to be true, Michael thought. Today a nice day at work in some pretty underwear and tomorrow the opportunity to dress in one of his skirt suits and heels to help out his wife in her practice. He did that before and always loved to play his wife's secretary. "Thank you so much, dear," he said. "I really appreciate that. I wish you a great day today and can't wait till afternoon when you come home." When his daughter and wife left for school and work, he went to the bedroom and changed into the laced corsage, fastened the stockings on the garters, and dressed finally in his sweater and leather pants outfit that he often wears during cold weather. After arriving at work, he found an email on his computer with an urgent subject. He had to meet the new head of HR in her office in half an hour. After looking a bit puzzled, he asked his two female colleagues, Beth and Susan, what happened. They said that most of the men in the division had similar invitations, and there were some rumors about bad news and changes in the company. So Michael was alarmed when he entered the office of Mrs. Rebecca Sharp, the new head of HR. She was a really impressive lady in her 40s, well-styled and dressed in a smart light gray skirt suit and a powder blue satin blouse. She also wore pretty high heels, which Michael found really exciting. Michael was really impressed by her because he really loves to see well-dressed ladies in business attire and always thought that it is a pity to mostly find women wearing only trousers these days. "Hello, Mr. Garrett, pleased to meet you here," Mrs. Sharp greeted him with a smile. "I'm really glad you arrived just in time because we need to have an important conversation." "Pleased to meet you too, Mrs. Sharp," Michael replied immediately. "Please have a seat here, Mr. Garrett," she said while showing him the chair in front of her impressive desk. "Have you heard any rumors about why I have asked you to come here, Mr. Garrett?" Mrs. Sharp asked him after he took the seat. "Well, yes, Mrs. Sharp. I heard that with the new board of managing directors, there will be some changes in our department. I don't know any details, but I am a bit concerned that there may be some jobs lost then," he said with some fear in his voice. "You are right, Michael, that is true." "Oh, may I call you Michael?" she asked. "Oh yes, of course, Mrs. Sharp. Michael is fine with me," he answered. "The new managing directors want to build up some new projects, and in the future we will have to deal with mostly female customers. And because of the changing tasks we have to deal with, I have to terminate most of the male employees here. In fact, all the male employees. You must understand that our future customers prefer to work with women than with men, she added. Michael went pale and felt sick. What does that mean for me, Mrs. Sharp? Please don't let me go. I really need this job. I would do my very best to show you my qualities and ask that you give me the chance to stay here as your employee, he pleaded. Well, Michael, to be honest, I only heard good things about you. You seem to be highly qualified and a really caring person, and all the recent customers that you had said so too. I guess that we can make out something suitable for you so that we can give you that chance. I'd like to ask you if you would consider changing your department and coming here to work directly for me. She asked him with a smile. I'm really in need of a good personal assistant, and you seem to be well qualified for that task. What do you say, Michael? Well, Mrs. Sharp, I'm a bit surprised. But yes, well, I really want to stay here, and of course I feel qualified for any job you offer me. I've never been a personal assistant and I'm quite nervous about the new tasks, but I will take the chance for further employment. Please give me that job and I guarantee I will be the best personal assistant you ever had, Michael replied. Oh, I guess you will be that, Michael, I'm totally sure, Mrs. Sharp answered with a small smile. So, then welcome, Michael, to my department. From now on you are my personal assistant and responsible for helping me organize my office, write letters, filing, and doing regular office stuff. You will care for my personal belongings too, and you will make coffee or tea for me and my customers. Is that okay with you? Finally, you will do all the tasks that I give to you, whether you like them or not, she grinned. Well, yes, of course, Mrs. Sharp, Michael replied reluctantly. Now, after that is solved, Michael, we need to get you on duty here as fast as possible. First of all, you will sign your new employment contract that I laid out here. Then I want you to return to your desk after our meeting and pack your personal belongings and bring them to your new place. Your new desk will be here directly outside of my office. But before you go, we need to prepare you a bit for the new tasks. Will you please get that garment that is hanging on my closet door, please? Michael turned around and saw what she was talking about. There was a hanger with a dark blue pinstriped suit and some shirts on it. He got up and picked up the items. With his experience in female clothing, he knew really fast that it was, in fact, a women's pantsuit, and the shirts seemed to be business blouses even if they were made from plain cotton. Michael, I got you a new suit. I guess as my personal assistant you also must look the part and not like you do now. I want you to get changed right now into your new suit for your new job. Hopefully I got your measurements right and it will fit you perfectly, she said, smiling. Oh well, thank you very much, Mrs. Sharp. That is really impressive, but this would not be necessary, Mrs. Sharp. I have some suits at home and can come tomorrow dressed in one of these if you prefer me like that, Michael replied, red-headed. You don't need to have taken such expense for me. No, Michael, I really love to spend that money on your new outfit. I always enjoy watching smartly dressed employees around me. That is the way I want you to be dressed for me from now on. I want you to get changed right here and right now, and I want to hear no excuses, Mrs. Sharp replied in a lightly harsher tone. Okay, I'm sorry, Mrs. Sharp, I'm so sorry, I didn't want to offend you. But I assume that this is not a man's suit, is it? He asked with his eyes down. Well, when I saw that suit at Macy's, it was pleasing to my eye, and for me it's just a piece of cloth, and it really doesn't matter for me in which part of the store I got it, Mrs. Sharp replied. I like how it looks and it would be perfect for my assistant. And now go on and change your clothes or I will get angry, she sharply replied. Please, do you have any room here where I can get changed? Asked Michael reluctantly. You can change right here, Michael. As it is only a change of outer clothing, and I assume you are not naked under your pullover, please change here now. If you are a bit prudish, I may turn around while you are doing that, she said with an amused face. With that, she turned around in her armchair and looked outside the office window. Michael was in complete horror. What the fuck did I do this morning to dress in my lingerie? He thought. After Mrs. Sharp turned around, he took the suit from the hanger and one of the light blue blouses too. After removing his pullover, he quickly slipped into the blouse and started to fasten the buttons. Now he knew exactly that it was a woman's blouse because the buttons were on the other side. After buttoning it up completely, he removed his pants. While doing so, his nylon legs made some telltale noises with the satin lining of his woman's leather pants. Before he was able to step into the suit pants, Mrs. Sharp turned around and saw that he was wearing stockings underneath. My, what is that what I can see there, my dear Michael? Are you really wearing nylon stockings under your pants to work? That's a really interesting fact for me, so go ahead, come over here and tell me what you were doing, Mrs. Sharp said with wide-open eyes. Don't be ashamed. We're here in my private office and nobody will disturb us here. Come over here now and let me have a good look at your legs. Michael was in total shock and wanted to die right now. He felt never more humiliated than right now in front of this sexy, powerful lady. Slowly he walked around Mrs. Sharp's desk and stood there in total silence. Come nearer, sweetie, I need to get a good look at your legs, she said innocently. When he was at her side, she took her hand and slowly caressed one of his stockinged legs. Marvelous, you have such sexy legs, Michael. And I see that you have them shaved. Wonderful, I never guessed that you are so well suited for what I have in mind for you. These leather pants seem to be women's leather pants, am I right? I see they are lined in nice satin. And this is a basque where the suspenders are hanging from. I can see the underwired cups through your thin blouse. Perfect. Michael made a face and didn't know what to reply. When he finally got back his breath, he asked shyly, Well, Mrs. Sharp, please, I can explain. Please don't fire me. Fire you? No, dear, I really do not fire you. As I said earlier, I really have plans for you, and now that I know that you seem to be a bit on the feminine side, it will be so much easier to change you exactly into the person I want to have as my personal assistant. For now, I'm really pleased with what I found out. Please finish dressing in your new suit and then return to your office. I want you to take all your personal things there and bring them to your new desk over here. After that, you may go home for today, but I want you to keep on wearing that suit. My first thought was to let you change back into your own clothes, but now that I know how you are dressed underneath, I want you to stay in your new work clothes on your way home. I'm really interested in what your wife will say when she finds you at home dressed like that. Oh, and by the way, please have a look in my closet over there. Michael turned around and went to her closet. After opening it, he found a pair of black patent lace-up ladies' leather shoes with a slight heel. Please slip into your new shoes, Michael. I guess they are well suited for your new outfit. And because you are already wearing perfectly colored nylons, please leave out your male socks. You have nothing to hide anymore, she said with a smile. Michael's new lace-up shoes that he was given by Mrs. Sharp. Michael put on the lace shoes and gulped a bit because he heard that not only did the shoes look like women's shoes, but the small heel made an audible click-clack noise when he made his first steps. Tomorrow morning you will be here right at 8 o'clock, and I want you to put on the same lingerie you are wearing today. Now go, Michael, and do as you were told. With these words she dismissed him, and Michael reluctantly returned to his office.